The janitor's closet smelled of bleach and rust. I preferred it to the perfume of betrayal. The cameras hummed above me. 12 angles, 12 feeds. I had access to all of them. No one noticed the man with a mop and slouched posture. No one questioned why the janitor always seemed to linger near Executive Suite 4A. They'd stopped noticing me a year ago, the day my plane went down over the Pacific. They called it a mechanical failure. The media called it a tragedy. My wife called it a blessing, though she waited until the will cleared to say so out loud. She kissed him today, on my desk, my former best friend, the one who toasted to loyalty at our wedding, the one who held my son the day he was born. I watched them from the grainy security feed, her laugh sharp and rehearsed, his hands all over the leather chair I picked out. "He left us everything," she said, flipping through documents with bloodless fingers. Then, "Too bad his weakling son is next." A slap, a cry, my son's voice raw and unguarded. I dropped the mop. Janitoring duty was over. I stayed dead for 12 months. The agency helped, changed the dental records, forged the crash footage, vanished me clean. I needed to know if grief still meant anything to her, if I mattered without my empire. I didn't. At first it was just doubt, the coldness in her voice during phone calls to legal, how quickly she moved into the penthouse, how fast she closed my charitable foundations. I watched the footage obsessively. She never visited my grave, never took our son there either. But he cried at night. I could hear it, through the nanny cam I embedded in the bear I gave him when he was born. She screamed at him once, said he looked too much like me, said he needed to stop crying like a little bitch. He's 7. My hands clenched every time I saw her touch him like a burden instead of blood. She never loved me. She loved the access, the name, the power. So I gave her all of it. Watched what she'd do. She didn't disappoint. I filed for reinstatement under a different identity, not in name, in ownership. The board had always known I was cautious. They weren't surprised when clauses started triggering in my absence. Clause 7C, in the event of sudden death, all assets are to be temporarily held in trust, monitored by a silent guardian until the heir comes of age. That guardian was me. They just didn't know yet. She tried to transfer funds overseas. I blocked them. She blamed technical errors. He tried to fire the COO. The vote failed. Unanimously. I recorded her calls. Hers to him. His to the private investigator. They suspected someone was watching. They were right. They just had no idea who. I submitted my DNA for a paternity match with my son. Not because I doubted him, because I wanted it in writing, undeniable, documented. I sent a nanny in undercover. She kept logs. Every bruise, every time he was locked in the guest room, every time he asked for Dad. And they told him Daddy flew away and wasn't coming back. I was, just not as who they remembered. The boardroom smelled of polished wood and lies. She sat at the head, in a dress I once bought her in Venice. He stood beside her, pretending to understand the numbers. I walked in from the side door. Security didn't stop me. They recognized my face. They just didn't know how to process it. Neither did she. Her eyes widened. Her fingers trembled against the glass. He went pale. I tossed a folder onto the table. Inside, DNA test results, forensic accounting reports, audio of them discussing my son's inheritance, pictures of bruises, of wine bottles, of my son, alone, afraid, forgotten. The room went dead silent. She stammered, You're supposed to be dead?" I tilted my head. "Turns out I'm hard to kill." He stepped forward. "This isn't—" "You laid hands on my blood," I said, "and now you're going to bleed, just slower." They didn't speak again. I didn't call the police. I called the foundation. We held a press conference, live-streamed. I stood next to my son. Let the world see I was alive. Let the world see him, shaken but resilient. Then I announced my retirement, effective immediately. Ownership transferred to a trust in my son's name. Every asset, every share, every right. They weren't invited, but they watched. From the parking lot, security escorted them out 5 minutes before it began. I made sure the cameras caught it, her screaming, him throwing a punch at the wind. They had nothing left to sell, and no one left to sell it to. Later that night she called, 23 times. I answered on the last ring. "Why?" she cried. I waited, let the silence stretch long enough to hurt, because he still called me Dad. Then I hung up. My son sleeps beside me now, the bear tucked under his chin. He talks in his sleep sometimes, tells stories to someone who isn't there. Maybe a version of me who never left, who never doubted, who never tested love with absence. But I'm not that man anymore. I let her ghost go. Buried her beside the man she thought she wanted. No headlines, no arrests, just exile. Quiet, permanent, undeniable. She'll wake up every day knowing the crown she stole turned to ash. That the boy she bruised now owns the legacy she murdered for. As for me, I don't need vengeance. I already won. And this time, I'm staying.